In Umora village, there was no name louder than Kelechi's, especially whenever food was involved. If you mention her name in the market, women would laugh. If you mention her name at a wedding, people would quickly cover their food. Even children knew one simple rule: never sit beside Kelechi when eating. Kelechi loved food more than anything in this world. Not just good food, any food. Hot food, cold food, leftover food. If it had smell and taste, Kelechi would eat it. At ceremonies, she never waited for invitations. Once she heard plates clattering, she appeared. She ate jollof rice, went back for fried rice, and finished with pounded yam like it was her personal property. By the time others were just settling down, Kelechi was already licking her fingers. "Is this girl eating for 2 people?" someone would whisper. "No," another would reply. "She's eating for the whole village." Kelechi did not care. She would smile, wipe her mouth, and move to the next table. At home, it was worse. Her mother, Mama Kelechi, cooked every morning, afternoon, and night. Still, before evening, the pots would be empty. One day, Mama Kelechi counted the pieces of meat in the soup. She counted again after stepping out for 5 minutes. All the meat was gone. "Kelechi," she shouted. Kelechi came out chewing, her cheeks full. "Mama, I was just tasting." "Tasting what?" her mother cried. "Did you taste the whole pot?" Her father only sighed. He had stopped talking. Talking did not reduce Kelechi's appetite. The embarrassment followed the family everywhere. Neighbors complained. Relatives avoided inviting them for events. One woman once locked her kitchen door when she saw Kelechi approaching. Still, Kelechi saw nothing wrong. "Food is meant to be eaten," she always said. "Why waste it?" One afternoon, during the village meeting, an old man called Ezemadu looked straight at Kelechi. His eyes were calm, but his voice was heavy. "Daughter," he said, "hunger that has no control invites trouble." People nodded. Kelechi laughed. "Papa, food is my blessing. Nothing bad can come from eating." The old man shook his head slowly. "One day," he said, "food will answer you." The meeting ended. Laughter returned. Life moved on. Kelechi woke up that morning with hunger twisting her stomach like a rope. She had eaten late the night before, yet her mouth still felt empty. Even before washing her face, she was already thinking of food. She tied her wrapper quickly and stepped out, hoping to find something, anything, to calm the fire inside her belly. The village was unusually quiet. As Kelechi walked along the narrow, dusty path, she noticed something strange ahead. A small space in the middle of the road had been neatly arranged. Fresh leaves spread on the ground, plates carefully placed, food that looked untouched. Her eyes widened. White rice, palm oil stew, pieces of meat arranged gently, a calabash of water beside it. Kelechi stopped walking. "This food," she whispered to herself, swallowing hard. People passed by, saw the food, and quickly looked away. Some even crossed to the other side of the road. A woman even hissed and pulled her child closer. Kelechi frowned. "Why is everyone behaving like this?" she muttered. She waited for someone to claim the food. No one did. Minutes passed. The food remained there, shining under the sun, calling her. Her stomach growled loudly. "Maybe someone forgot it," she said, looking around. "Food should not be wasted." She remembered the old man's words from the meeting, but she laughed it off. "Food cannot answer anybody," she said. Slowly, she walked closer. No flies, no smell of spoilage. The food looked too perfect. Kelechi looked left, looked right, then she sat down. With shaking hands but hungry heart, she picked the spoon and took the first bite. The taste was rich, too rich. Her eyes closed in pleasure. "Ah," she sighed, "this is the best food I have ever eaten." She ate faster, forgot the road, forgot the village, forgot herself. By the time she was done, the plates were empty, clean, even the water was finished. Kelechi wiped her mouth and stood up. That was when the wind stopped. The leaves on the ground dried instantly. The plates cracked softly. A strange silence filled the air. Kelechi suddenly felt heavy. Her lips tingled. She touched her mouth and frowned. Why does my mouth feel tight? She laughed nervously and started walking home. But with every step, her lips felt thicker, and behind her, on the empty road, the gods of the land had noticed what she had done. Kelechi reached home, still chewing the last taste of the food in her mind. The strange feeling in her mouth refused to leave. It was not pain. It was more like her lips were stretching gently, as if someone was pulling them from inside. She stood in front of the small mirror in her room and smiled. Everything looked normal. "C'est fier," she laughed. "I was just hungry." She poured water into a cup and drank. The water felt warm as it passed her throat, but she ignored it. Hunger had taught her to ignore many things. By afternoon, she was in the compound, cracking groundnuts and chatting with neighbors. She laughed loudly, but something was wrong with her voice. The words came out slower, heavier. "Why are you talking like that?" one girl asked. Kelechi waved her hand. "It is nothing." But when she laughed again, her lips pulled wider than usual. Someone stared. Someone else looked away. Kelechi touched her mouth. It felt different. She rushed inside and faced the mirror again. Her smile froze. Her mouth was slightly bigger than before. Just a little, but enough for her to notice. Her lips looked stretched, longer than they were in the morning. Her heart started beating fast. "No," she whispered. "This is not possible." She tried to close her mouth tightly. It closed, but not fully. She forced a smile. It looked strange. Fear crawled into her chest. She tried to shout for her mother. "Mama." The word came out unclear. Her tongue felt heavy. Her lips refused to shape the sound properly. Kelechi slapped her mouth lightly. "Stop it," she said. But her voice sounded wrong, like it was coming from far away. By evening, the stretching feeling returned, stronger. Her jaw ached. Saliva gathered at the corner of her mouth. When Mama Kelechi called her for food, Kelechi rushed out, relieved. She ate quickly, hoping food would make everything normal again. It didn't. Instead, her mouth stretched just a little more. That night, Kelechi lay awake, afraid to sleep. She held her lips together with her hands, as if that could stop whatever was happening. Kelechi woke up with a scream trapped inside her throat. She jumped up from her mat and rushed to the mirror without washing her face. Her hands were shaking before she even looked. When she finally did, her knees went weak. Her mouth was no longer just big, it was long. Her lips stretched downward, wider than her face. Her jaw looked pulled forward, as if something invisible had grabbed it during the night. No matter how hard she tried, she could not close her mouth properly. Kelechi tried to shout, "Ah!" Only a strange sound came out. Her tongue moved, but her words refused to form. Drool slipped from the corner of her mouth. She covered it quickly, her eyes filling with tears. She ran outside. Mama Kelechi saw her and screamed, "Jesus!" Neighbors rushed in. One woman dropped her bucket. Another ran away with her child. People stared like they were seeing a spirit. Kelechi tried to explain, pointing at her mouth, shaking her head wildly. Nothing, no words. Her mother grabbed her face, turned it from side to side, then fell to the ground crying. What kind of sickness is this? Kelechi wanted to say, "I don't know." She wanted to say, "Help me," but her mouth betrayed her. Children gathered at a distance whispering, "Is she cursed? Did she steal something?" Kelechi's heart pounded. She remembered the food on the road, the silence, the cracked plates. Fear swallowed her whole. By midday, her mouth stretched even more. Eating became difficult, but the hunger inside her refused to go away. It burned, stronger than ever. The village elders were sent for. When they arrived and saw Kelechi, their faces hardened. One of them whispered, "This is not ordinary." Another shook his head slowly. "The gods do not play." Kelechi dropped to her knees, tears running freely. For the first time in her life, food did not bring her comfort. It brought fear. By evening, The whole of Umora had gathered. No one laughed anymore. Kelechi sat in the middle of the village square, her head bowed, her mouth hanging long and heavy. A cloth was tied around her neck to hide part of it, but it did nothing. Everyone could see the curse clearly. The elders sat in a line, their faces dark. "This is not sickness," Eziemadu said finally. "This is punishment." The murmuring began immediately. Mama Kelechi cried louder. Punishment for what? She is only a child. Eziemadu raised his hand for silence. His eyes rested on Kelechi. 2 mornings ago, he said slowly, food meant for the gods was placed on the road. Food of sacrifice. Food no human must touch. Kelechi's body shook. The elder continued. Someone ignored the warning. Someone ate it. All eyes turned to Kelechi. Tears poured down her face. She nodded weakly. The elders sighed as one. The gods of this land are angry, another elder said. They are not angry because she ate. They are angry because she disrespected. The priestess was sent for immediately. When she arrived, silence fell. She walked around Kelechi once, chanting softly. Suddenly she stopped. This mouth, the priestess said, will continue to grow. When it grows too long, she will no longer be able to breathe. A cry rose from the crowd. Mama Kelechi collapsed. Kelechi grabbed the ground, shaking, begging with her eyes. There is only one way, the priestess continued. She must confess publicly and return what she took, and she must face the gods before the next sunrise. If she fails, Eziemadu added quietly, she will not survive. Thunder rolled in the distance. Kelechi looked up at the darkening sky, her heart pounding with terror. For the first time in her life, hunger had led her to the edge of death, and the gods were waiting. Before dawn, the village was already awake. No drums, no laughter, only fear. Kelechi was led back to the same road where everything had started. Her mouth had grown longer overnight, pulling her face forward, making breathing difficult. Every step felt like her last. The priestess stood before the empty spot on the road. Kelechi, confess. Kelechi fell to her knees. Tears soaked the dust. With great effort, she forced sounds out, broken and painful. I took the food, she struggled. I was greedy. I did not respect the gods. The wind rose suddenly. The priestess placed fresh food on the ground. More than before. Kola nuts, palm oil, meat, water. This is not for eating, she warned. This is for returning. Kelechi bowed low. Her tears dropped onto the sacrifice. I am sorry, she whispered with what was left of her voice. The ground trembled. Slowly, painfully, her mouth began to shrink. The villagers watched in silence as her lips returned to normal, her jaw easing back into place. When it was over, Kelechi collapsed, weak and shaking. The priestess spoke one last time. Hunger without self-control destroys. Let this be a warning. Kelechi did not smile. From that day on, she ate with care. She served others before herself. At gatherings, she waited to be invited. The village noticed, and whenever food was placed on the road in Umora, no one ever touched it again because they remembered Kelechi, the girl whose hunger spoke to the gods.